All right. Hello. Welcome to Design Elements and Principles. My name is Joel. I'll be your instructor. I sit here in the back, but everything I'm going to be doing, you watch up on the screen because it matches for people who are taking the class online and watching either live or will watch later on. So it's all good. My name is Joel, as I said. The 2-second blurb about me is I've been teaching here at MATC for 10 years. Before that, I was an art director for 15 years. Before that, I was just a designer in general for about 5 years. So I've got some experience in the field. Feel free to ask questions. I'll answer what I can about the field in general. You're in Graphic Design 103. This is the introductory. This is the base of graphic design in itself. And this course could actually be taught, I could almost call it, fine art elements and principles, or you could change that name. These elements and principles are kind of used throughout design and art together. But they're the building blocks of graphic design pieces. There's a total of 16 together, or 15. Do you use them all every time in every design? No. But sometimes you use a little bit from column A and sometimes you use a little bit of column B. And it's just good to know about all the design elements and principles and get some practice and start playing around and trying new things and looking at research and finding out, what's out there and how do we do stuff. It's very fascinating. It's a lot of fun. This is broken out throughout, the 16 weeks that we're together. You're going to be working on research. You're going to be looking for examples of the elements and principles. You're going to be trying them for yourself of both the elements and principles. You're going to be practicing using the programs that we use as graphic designers, meaning Illustrator and InDesign. You'll be just starting out small, like placing things how I have them, and then building up to bigger and better things. Everybody does great. It's a lot of fun. There's a little more art now, and then it gets, then you get more designy. It's a lot of practice in Illustrator. If you say to yourself, but I haven't taken Illustrator yet, don't worry. Everybody who says that ends up doing great because we're going to kind of do it in baby steps, and I show you how to do stuff. And even like week 1 is very, very simple. So don't stress. Don't worry about it. You're all going to do great. I'll go through weekly lessons because we'll talk about the book. If you're working from home or you have your own laptop, you are going to need a student subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud, or you can come in and work. I'm here Tuesdays and Thursdays. 9 to 4. Another colleague of mine is in just a different room Mondays and Wednesdays, 9 to 4, 10 to 4. Plenty of time. There's open labs in a different area, and it's all listed out. I sent that to you. So there's no reason you can't get stuff done if you're like, oh, I don't have the program. Yes, you have an area to get the programs. You can get it done. If you're new to Blackboard, kind of like, goes across. You'll have announcements. These came in about studio resources, about the class, when do we meet, what is like the book that you need, and that you need, you'll need Adobe Creative Cloud. That was sent to you, got an email. If you're working from home and you're working on a laptop, you will need a mouse. You will not be able to design anything without a mouse. The little trackpad doesn't work. Like they work, yes, but you're going to be trying to hold down shift, click and drag, and move stuff. And you'll find out that the trackpad is garbage and that you'll need a mouse so you can be using 2 hands to design. The big thing here is using 2 hands to design. All right. Very easy. We'll get it done. And then, like I said, the resources states here if you need extra hours to work. They're around. Plenty of hours to work. Discussions, these will come up. Oh, I have to hide that one. And this is where you're going to share work with others. You're going to look at it. You can do this, or it goes through the weekly lessons. You have a grade book. The grade book gets populated. Once you turn it in, you turn in all the parts, I grade it. I stay on top of grading. You'll always know your final grade. It's just that simple. Like I don't wait like weeks to grade. You get them within 48 hours usually, unless something weird happens, which once in a while does. And it's just like, oh, great, whatever. It's 3 days later, you found out your grade. But if it's anything pending, like a bigger assignment where you need my comments to move forward, you'll always get that right away. So no worries there. Everything is in weekly lessons. I'll click on this first one. Just so you know, people new to college, you're taking a 3-credit course and there's time expectations from the college, and it's broken down into like 16 weeks. So instruction wise, 3 hours, and homework wise is 6 hours. So you'll be spending maybe 9 hours a week on this course. It shouldn't be that long. You meet with me for 2 hours, and then that extra hour is for me to answer questions or get on video chat with you or however you want. And then you're going to have homework projects that are going to be kind of repeating that won't take you long. I've started creating smaller, quicker assignments. So it's kind of like you have more to do, but the more you practice, the better you're going to get. And that's why I do that. So yeah, I think everybody, I put that in there because I don't want the students, you have a bunch of classes on Tuesday and you do all your homework on Monday and think you can get like 12 hours of work done on a Monday and then you're freaking out. Don't wait till the last day, please. All right. How to get a hold of me? Million ways. Assignment specific discussion boards is one way. And I have midweek reviews is where you put up your homework. I'll check it before you turn it in to make sure you get an A. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Hey, here, I finished it. Check it. I'll tell you what to fix, and then you can just turn it in. You can email me questions. I have virtual office hours, which are basically every day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. I can meet later. I can meet on weekends. You just email me. Hey, I want to chat about this. We knock it out. Those virtual office hours can be quick because we're just talking, and you just like, it's better than like emailing and trying to be like, I don't get what you mean. Like, I'll just get on. We'll figure it out. GChat, it's like MATC Gmail account. I have people that do that. Or you can call or text me. Let me know who you are. I don't always answer the phone, just like many of you. But just leave a message. Hey, this is so-and-so from which class. Hey, can you call me back? And I will. I have a question about assignment 3, and then I know, and then we can knock it out. So it's all good. I'm available many, many times. Send me. I am here for you. I want you to become great designers. I want you to do great design. It's great. The Blackboard overview. These are the main areas you'll be going to is weekly lessons. That's where all your assignments are. Discussions. Then you'll look at your grade book because that's how you know when you didn't turn something in and becomes a U. And then I'll go over this syllabus grading course outline part now. Those are the main things that you'll probably be clicking in and out of. So assignment descriptions. I feel like I deleted this. This is wrong. I'm gonna delete that. I'll delete that later. Don't worry about that. The syllabus, this is kind of like MATC's policy. Absences, 2 in a row, you could get dropped. That's MATC policy, not mine. It's because you missed a certain amount of the classes. They don't think you can make it up. You get dropped from the class. So if you have something come up, you got to contact me and let me know what's going on. Don't just like ghost me and then come back 6 weeks later and be like, oh yeah, sorry about that. I'll be like, you've been dropped from the course and you missed 6 weeks of work. There's no way you can make it up. You either fail the class or take it incomplete or drop the class. So don't miss. Yeah. The student is more than 3 homework assignments behind, not posting to discussion boards, not responding to emails more than 10 days, the students may be dropped. That's it. That's the main one. There's a lot of other information in here. You can peruse where to get help, where to help, help from the college. It's all, I'm not going to go through it because we sort of have short times together. We meet, and to correct something, we'll meet 1 hour from 2 to 3 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I think it says 2 to 4 because they messed something up. It's 2 to 3. So we meet 2 hours a week. But if you need that extra time, I'm around until 4. You work on your homework. You work with me in the studio. I am around. So, and I may run long. Maybe today I'll run long. I don't know. The grading rubric for all the assignments. All my assignments are very step driven. Do this, do this, do this, and do this. Did you follow all 4 steps? Great. Then if you didn't hear, sorry, somebody wrote, yes, if your sound goes out, always just know too that these are recorded and I'll post them later to YouTube. So yeah, if you miss a section, I know sometimes sound goes in and out. But yeah, they're always posted later in case you miss something. And I keep them up the whole time. So don't worry, I won't close it out. All right. So back to the assignment. So I'm going to check, did the student do all the things they needed to do? Step 1, craft 3 sketches using only 2 sans serif letters. Well, has the student generated 3 sketches? Did they employ sans serif and has they adhered to the use of only 2 letters? That's how the grade, that's how it goes. Easy. We're going to have the discussion assignments because you need to be sharing and learning from each other and seeing what other students do and how they grow and what they're doing. And it's also like a double check of like, am I doing it right? I can check. Besides, if I don't want to ask the teacher for some reason, you can see what other students are doing. Don't always go off of that one because if you get the one student who did it wrong, then you start doing it wrong. Then I'll be like, where did you get this idea from? But the discussions, you need to look at other people's work. It's life. You're not going to live in your bubble. You get graded on it. It's if you don't do it, you lose an entire grade. So if you had A work, but you didn't do the discussions, you get to start at a B. Plain and simple. And then I break it out. You only have to do 2 comments for the assignments. Late assignments, full grade reduction. Even if it's 1 minute late, it becomes a full grade down. And then after 7 days, the assignments close out and you can no longer turn them in. So if you have a late assignment, it's past 7 days, you automatically get a U. You can't make it up. Some of you now have heard this for a 3rd time, I feel like. But why is that? Graphic design is a deadline-driven profession. If somebody hires you to create a poster for an event, and that poster needs to be out in the public, so the public needs to know to come to the event, and you do it late, and then the printer can't print it on time, and then that poster gets out late, only a couple days before the event, because, oh, it's just a little late, it's okay. And nobody shows up at the event, it's your fault. If nobody in that company goes under because the event was supposed to drive, traffic to get them going, people can lose jobs because of late assignments. So that's why it's very important to get your work in on time and just know like it's graded. Well, it doesn't make much matter because if you carry that attitude into the real world, you'll be a failed graphic designer very soon. And I don't want that. I want the best designers possible. I love this. I love this profession. What's part of it? Just get the work done. And you're going to see it's going to start out. We're starting out. Everybody's nervous. Oh, it's going to be hard. It's not that hard. I do kind of a rinse and repeat. You're going to be doing the same thing kind of over and over and over and getting better and better and better at it. And it's quite great. I love it. I love it. Like I get so excited about this. So what happens in the week? Well, first, like today, I'm going to do this line lecture, and I'm going to go over line, and we're going to talk about it. I'm going to show it to you and do everything. There's a midweek review, or that's where you post your work. Be like, hey, check this before I turn it in. I want to make sure I did it right. I don't want to call the person out. Somebody posted. Oh, no, somebody didn't post, and they should have, because in their line research, I had the right to them. I didn't think their examples had very much line in it. Like I asked them to go further, try again. So this is the line research is you're going to be finding on the internet, you're going to be finding examples, a book cover, an album cover, and a movie poster. In each week, you're going to do the same. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to get into it today. And then Thursday, I'm going to show you all tricks and tips to get the most beautiful presentation you can. And then you start repeating that. So like in the time being, you can between today and Thursday, you find all your examples and maybe you work on the line project a bit, but then I'm going to show you like, here's how to make the perfect, Google slide presentation, how to make sure things are spaced out, even, centered, because we're not just slapping things together anymore. We're graphic designers. As of 201, all of you have become graphic designers. That's what it is. And you're going to be doing high-end work, and it's going to be awesome. You're going to be doing these projects. So you do line research, line project. Line one is easy. You're going to be experimenting in Illustrator. It's going to be okay. And you're just going to be drawing some lines, kind of literally drawing some lines. You're going to do a design practice. This is where you're going to open up a file that I have. And then throughout the weeks, they get a little bit harder. Like this week is like, just put everything in its place and like kind of know how to move things around the artboard. Then the next week, there'll be something missing that you have to import. Then the next week, there'll be like 3 things are missing. And so it just kind of gradually gets harder, but it gets you used to using both Illustrator and InDesign in a very, forgiving way. You're just copying what I did. And then a textbook. There's a textbook. If you need to get the textbook, you'll be reading throughout it, and some of it, it's got a lot of helpful information. Be crafty where you get the textbook. Dare I say Google it? You might find some particular PDF. I can't say for sure. Wink, wink. So look around. Whenever you have a textbook, look around. Don't just be crafty Google searchers is what I'm saying. So let's jump in. That's all the nitty gritty. That's all the blah part. Let's jump in. Let's talk about line. So as there's going to be elements and there's going to be principles. We're going to do the elements. And the elements are line, shape, form, value, texture, color, and space. We're going to define these. I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to show you stuff. It's going to be fun. And then, like I said, you're going to find examples so you have a better understanding. Okay, you're going to find your own examples. And then you're going to play around. You're going to do a little line experimentation to help you understand it even more. All right. So line. How do we use line in design? Well, one, we need to define it. And one of the best ways to kind of define line is for me to just draw it and show you and kind of talk to you about the origins sort of line. I'm going to zoom in. Okay. If I draw one thing right there, that dot is called a point. If I join 2 points together, I have what is defined as a line. It's from one point to another. So there is sometimes talk about point in graphic design, but it's not used a lot. But 2 points, one from point A to point B becomes a line. Now, the line, I can go from point A to point B, and I can do this. I can go from point A to point B and do this. But what I cannot do, and this is important for the project assignment, I have a point to a point to a point. And the second I do this, it is no longer a line. That is now a shape. So a line does not close back in on itself. Once you close back in on itself, it becomes a shape. All of these, now that's a shape. It is a shape with an outline. I know that can be confusing, but when I talk about a line, it can go wherever you want, do whatever you want, as long as it doesn't close back up. So that's the basis of line, and that's what we're talking about. And like, you're like, oh, well, I'm going to do this for the sake of argument. Right there, that is a line. That can be considered a line, just a really fat line, you know? Is it a rectangle? Where, you know, like, where do we start talking about, like, well, that's kind of more of a rectangle than a line. But if I say it's a 100-point stroke line and it's only 1 inch long, it's going to look like a square. You know, like, that's what it is. But you can argue with me that that is a line. You're going to have to fight on it, because I want you to, you know, experiment and have some fun and really look at, you know, examples in line in graphic design, but you have to know about it. So that's what I'm talking. I'm talking about thin to moderately thick, you know, like lines. It'll be easier like when we look at the examples, but that's what we need to look for when we're doing this stuff. All right. Now, the line, as I kind of showed, we can have, you know, the definition line, continuous mark made by moving a point, got that down. We can have thick lines, thin lines, fat to thin, thick to light, horizontal, diagonal, curve, like, it's a line. It could go any way you want. And then we can even get into this, you know, funny little defining of items. I'll zoom in so we can all see this a little bit better. You know, straight lines convey stability, order, efficiently. Horizontal lines suggest calmness. You know, like, while vertical lines imply strength or height. You know, like, this does come through. This is the stuff, like, how you convey emotion in a design is by using the elements and setting them up in a certain way. Curved lines suggest movement and grace, more natural, organic feel. Of course, diagonal lines, they're dynamic, you know, diagonal. Think about, like, you know, exploding lines, and that'll come up. Zigzag are excitement and chaos. And then the horizontal and vertical together, if we, you know, crisscross them, you know, it's very strong points. Lines are the fundamental for creating structure and form in objects. They define the boundaries of the shape. But I'm going to talk about something else when we get to shape. Is shape doesn't always have to have an outline. And so we get into this other area, because we start designing, and it's pretty much a guaranteed, and it bugs me a lot, but I'll get to it in shape, is everybody keeps that black line on when they make a shape, like the color's going to fall out of it. You don't need the line to help you define a shape. So line is there to help you just define itself. A line is a line. Right, stylus. Let's see. You can use line to help with the hierarchy and emphasis. Lines guide the eye. I want people to look from the top, you know, like the top of my image to the bottom of my image. And I want them to do it because the most important stuff is at the top and the less important is at the bottom. I can do that by directing your eye by using line. And then the line can be used to create patterns and texture, which is totally fun. Like, I'm already excited about this Nestle milk chocolate one. Like, I'm looking over there, and we're going to talk about each one of the examples. You can express mood. Sharp, jagged lines might convey tension, while gentle, flowing lines are calm. Symbolism. You know, certain lines in certain situations can symbolize something. Just think about that. You know, it's a lot of that stuff is conveyed through symbolism that is just basically at one point lines. You know what I mean? Lines are used to create everything. They're the starting point. You know, a point is literally the starting point, but it's only a dot within space, where a line is what really starts to help us define what we want, and then how we use that line. And I think a lot of the other part is line doesn't always need to show in the design for it to be present, which may be a little bit weird here. And then the balance and harmony, achieving balance between different types of lines is essential for creating a harmonious, visual, appealing composition. And not just stating like, you're not going to have like 17 types of line on the same project unless need be. That you want things to be cohesive and feel the same. So if we go here, look at this first lady. I love it because it's all about line. And when they came up with it, one, we have a cascading line from top to bottom, which makes us want to start here and then our eyes follow down. We go down this piece. Get my drawing stuff on. So we follow the lines down. We're starting from the headline down to the product. In the midst of that, we have this lady, mom, sorry, and she's in lines too. Like they purposely picked this contrasting color and line weight for this like illustration, could have been a photo illustration, to continue that theme of that line. And then we follow it down to the chocolate bar, but then these lines actually come perspective out toward us. They're inviting us in. This is all like when you're doing the design and you're thinking about, it's easier for me to like do that 2020, you know, hindsight is 2020. And I can't necessarily say that like when they're doing all this, one person was like, yes, I'm going to do this because of this, but that's in the back of your mind. And it's, how can I draw the eye? How do I move people throughout the piece? And in this one, they chose line to do it, where we're starting up here. We're coming down. We get to see the figure eating the treasure at the bottom. They're in line, which matches our whole theme. And then it's coming out, and we have it on the table, and it's expanding toward us, inviting us back in. So you can kind of almost, you stay in this piece. You're locked in it. And that's a really good design feature, is having people stay, and they go back, and then I come back in and I look back at the top, and I come back and I fall again, and I get invited back in. I go back to the top. And that's exactly what we want to do with graphic design. Keep people interested in what we have. And it's not always just through like crazy cool filters. We can do it by tricking them. There's a lot of psychology in graphic design, tons of it. Each one of these elements, and then we get the principles, gets even headier. And it's all about like getting people fooled, changing their ideas, letting them know about different things. Here we got this, you know, vertigo. The idea of feeling dizzy, some people from heights, some people just get vertigo in general, but it's just created with line. And this is a very like line-driven type, you know, very thin, looks like, you know, you could do that with a marker. It's very cool. I always love this, you know, style. Saul Bass, this is Saul Bass. And then this circling in of line, where line intersects enough to become almost shape and create us a center shape in here. You know, it's far more interesting in the way this looks. Like I can get lost in these overlaps and what it creates here. It's very cool. Then we have shape versus line with the figure. The one figure, the gentleman is bold, and you know, I don't think I've ever seen vertigo, you know, bold and black, but the lady is outlined, and it's done for a reason. Heavy versus light. She's outlined. It's line usage. It just, and it brings us in a different way, and it keeps us interested. And then this is another one where like, well, you read the text. I read it. But then you gotta just start looking at this, and you keep looking at it, and you keep looking at it. And you're like, oh, you're just drawn in. And that's what it's meant to do. Good old sunny California. I put this one up here because line is implied, and it's implied from something else. Is it, necessarily drawn line? No. But what it does is it makes the image far more interesting. It adds something that it's not in the frame. Those lines are from a palm leaf, right? And the shadow, and then that's all we need. We don't have to see the palm leaf, but the lines created from the shadow is all we need to know that she's probably standing underneath a palm tree. And then the way it contours on her also helps with the idea, like, is that windswept hair, possibly windswept hair, going this way. Whoa, that was way too big. Undo. Her hair is windswept, and then we have the palm fronds that are going like that. And so it's all creating a lot of action. And it's just that whole, like, by the sea and the wind and the breeze. And it's weirdly just implied. But those are those lines that are helping create that. But the lines are made from something solid. So it's more, to me, it's more of, a pattern of line than it is a single shape because of the way it runs through this piece. And we have this cool, look at the background. I just noticed that right now. We have that awesome, like, building, and the building is really just made up of a bunch of lines. That's hilarious. Like, it's just really blue and white lines created the buildings. Super simple, super to the point. There's a bonus lines in that one. Cool. All right. This Beethoven piece. I talk about this one a lot. I can't always remember it. This is, so it's overture, Beethoven overture. I forget which one, but these lines in this curve, in this development, have to do directly with one of Beethoven's songs. So it's like each one of these, I can't remember if it's a note or if it's an instrument played, but if you're really smart and you're like one of the, super into it, symphony, and you love Beethoven, and you saw this, these lines, and if somebody told you it was like, oh, this is that song represented in this circle of lines, you'd be like, oh yeah, super rad. I didn't get it. I didn't get it at first, but now I see, like, this one is very short, but then comes across here again. Here's another break, but then it continues. And the symbolism and the hidden stuff you can put in design like this steps things up to another level. And this is where it becomes, we stop being literal. We're going to have the picture of Beethoven, the statue that we all see. If you Googled Beethoven head statue, we'd all know what that looks like. And you could have just put that on a poster, bright color, and then just put Beethoven and the dates and times and been done. So this person was like, no, I'm taking the one song, it's going to be included in the symphony when they come and see it, and I'm going to break it down into this shape and have the notes, and it's like far more cerebral than just having, like I said, a picture of Beethoven. Like, anybody can do that. You don't have to be a graphic designer to do that, but here you use line to express something completely different. And this final one, I just love it. Today's Italian publicity and graphic design. This is from 1967. So one of them, like, I always like the old examples, because part of it, I'm like blown away by, and I get to say it, pre-computers. Like, look how beautiful the line work isn't done on this. This is somebody doing it by hand. Like getting those perfect little lines right here to make us feel like it's curling over. And there's so many things going on in this series of lines that make us think that it's a ribbon, but nothing's connected. Like, they didn't do the obvious. They didn't shade it. They didn't like add like a line around the ribbon to help us make sure it looks like a ribbon. This is all just like lines, and the way they touch and the way they curve and the way they, hit each other. implies something that is not there. It's not true. There's no form. It is flat. But because of the way that the lines are created, makes us feel like, man, I could stick my hand in there. I could grab that. It's all an illusion. It's all and it's done only with lines. I love that stuff. Like this is so great. This stuff, still to this day blows me away. And again, we talk about that. All these, I like really old imagery. All these were done pre-computer. Like somebody's sitting there and like drawing those lines, got the ruler out, blah, blah, blah. We got computers, man. Boom. One and done. It's so much easier these days. But there's my line lecture. Nice. Let's talk about the assignments and get in the nitty gritty. And then, like I said, I'll get into more of the assignments on Thursday because I won't repeat the line lecture, but I'll kind of like do a little bit more. Right now, I'm just going to kind of explain the assignments, and then I'll redo them so you can clearly understand them. Line research. All you're doing is finding examples from the world. You're Googling items. And I need 3 examples of line and graphic design from the internet. I need a book cover, I need a movie poster, and an album cover. 3 examples total. Don't do this. I guess like line in graphic design books. I think it usually gets you crappy. It gets you books about line, but it doesn't get you very good imagery. Start digging around and look for like, I like to put in there like 1960s movie posters. Yeah, I got to spell right, eh? And then you can start digging around and start like looking at all these weird and rad stuff. And I don't know what this one is, but the scaffolding, that scaffolding behind there, and that's line work, but it has to do with the movie. But like, so then I make a question like, oh, that's line, but isn't line? Look at this. Like some of them are simple, but the way the line breaks up the shape, like that's what we're looking for. The line. I want line to be the number one thing when we look at this. Like I'm seeing a bunch of other cool ones, but dig around, try different eras, try different styles, like horror, like for the movie posters, have fun. And you can do any era you want. I just think that it's more fun when you kind of dig around like this. 80s really gets into like where we stopped. We changed graphic design and we wanted to show the stars in the movies and less about like an idea of what the movie was about. So they get less interesting to me, like in this era. But I mean, like probably say, no, that's shapes. But dig around, have some fun. Album, you got to do an album cover. You got to do a book cover, and you just do this, book, like top 100 book covers. Here's why. There's always awards for stuff, and here's the easy one. Just do that, and then the best book covers of 2022, and then go to the site and look at each one. That's great for shape. All right. I got one next week for shape. Here's another one for shape. No, that's, and I know like in advance, like this will be for value. And just kind of go through and look at things. Oh, it's a beauty. And start seeing what's out there. Oh, such cool designs. And that's what I want you to start seeing too, is like, oh, this is out there. These are the things. And just dig around, have some fun. You're going to create a presentation, which I'll get into more. But this is an example of it. So I have a title page, and then I have examples. This one's really hard to see. But see the record behind that record? That's all lines. So it is line. You couldn't see it earlier. This folded piece of paper, in my mind, was a line. This is a line. You know, like they, you know, took something else and made something of it, but I follow it like a line more than I do. And then then I have this one, which is the one I showed you. Like those are my examples. Now, one thing, and like I said, we're going to go over this Thursday, is perfection. And the computer does this for you. I'm trying, like all my spacing, the space between between these images is the same. The gap between here and here is the same. All my titles are centered below my posters. And for these two, they're the exact same height. So it's not like one's up here, one's down there, one's over there. I got like, you know, the album, it says album cover, but it's half off. Like we're gonna start like really like lining things up, going for precision. And like I said, Thursday, I'm gonna do this with you. I'm gonna show you all the techniques, all the things that automatically happen when you work on these projects, you know, like in the assignment. In PowerPoint, not PowerPoint. I'm going to show you in Google Slides. But everything like locks in. That's a 2-page example. Here I have each one just on its own page, just in all its glory, you know? However you want to do it. We're getting in to start practicing this. Once you start doing these, you'll be like, oh, good. And I'm going to start pinpointing. My goal with these is by like halfway through the semester, my only comment to you is awesome examples, great presentation, done. You know how to do it every week and you're doing it, and it's practice, and it's muscle memory is what I want to get to with a lot of this. That it's just not like every time I see it, album covers like shifted over a ½ inch for some reason. I'll be like, why isn't it centered? How come it's not centered? You know, you need to start seeing that. So that's the first part. Easy. Line project. This one is the fun one. You're going to download this assignment and you're going to practice design. Now it's going to open in Illustrator. So you need to have Adobe Illustrator. And I have some examples. And it says in the assignment what to do and how to turn those off. I can turn those off by just turning off the switch here. I don't want those on. And if you were to read this whole line, it says examples, turn off this layer. You're supposed to create in this one, your artwork below everything. I'm going to click on that and start doing stuff. How can you make a line in Illustrator? First, there's a pen tool. And don't worry, I'm going to go over this again next week as well. Here, I got to turn on. First is the pen tool. It's very confusing at first, but then gets easier. And the pen tool is done by clicking around. I can make, you know, I'm not going to say shapes, these lines by just clicking. And when I'm done, I'm just going to hit the return key, enter key. And there is a line. I'll tell you more what this has to do with. Your best bet is just to play around. If I click and then I click and drag, I start creating curved lines. Click and drag. That's how I create curved lines. Again, practice. Try it out. You can use the brush tool, and this is a little more freehand where I can just, you know, with the mouse, just kind of do what I want. Whoop, whoop. And it makes it, and it's beautiful. And those are lines as well. So those are the main ways. You try the pen tool, crisp and clean and jagged lines just by clicking. Or you can do smoother, more methodical lines with the pen tool. Or you can use the brush and draw your lines. With the mouse, I have a stylus. I'm a big stylus user. Now, it's just not do whatever all willy-nilly. in the assignment, it states, I want emotions. These are them. Happy, sad, tired, furious, fragile, dangerous, bored, angry, nervous, scary, mad, soft. No points, no shapes, no colors, no images. What can you do with line? And you only have to do 6. You're only doing 6, not all. What can you do with a line or many lines that don't create a shape to show happy? Of course, I did the easiest one possible in my example, right? Everybody's like, oh, I wish I could have done that one first. No, I beat you to the punch. You know, what was it? At just the McDonald's. You know, here, angry. The symbolism may be eyebrows or eyes. Is it? No. It's just 2 lines. Do not get caught, and this comes up a lot. Somebody will do happy, and they'll just instinctively, and I'm gonna like end up doing this. Well, that doesn't count because you've created a shape. The second I see something that comes around on itself, I'm going to be like, no, you drew a shape. And for the most part, I don't want direct, I want you to feel it. Like, I don't want like a bunch of people to come in and for happy, and then they kind of do this because they just can only be literal about it. But what like a happy could just be like, or one of them is bored. I think is bored on there. Bored. What is bored? Here's the funny one. Bored. You know what I mean? Like bored is just a flat line. Reep. Or, oh, this is so boring. I'm losing interest. Like there's my bored line. Like just falling off the page. I'm bored. You know, like think about it. And more than just like, you know, I'm going to do here, and then that's my board. And like you do 6 faces. Like, no, experiment. Have some fun. Don't do the obvious. Like push yourself to try. It's literally 6 little drawings. 6, you can get this done in 6 lines. But experiment, try stuff out. Think about how you would graphically represent that. You know, like when I say that, like what pops in your mind? Danger. You know, like something pops in your mind visually. What is that shape? You know, what is that with line? And that's what I want you to play around with for that assignment. And again, like I said, because we're almost done with our day, Thursday, I'm going to do each one of these with you and show you really true, but you can start doing the other parts. Design practice is it's going to take you like 10 minutes. I have a file, and what I want you to do is download the file and all its ingredients, and it's a zip file, and it's going to be a file folder with Illustrator, with an Illustrator file in it and all the supporting documents. But this is going to get you used to working, saving, and like exporting and opening. So I'm going to go to my downloads. If you're smart, you move this onto like the desktop. I'm going to double click on it to unzip it. And within there is David Carson, AI, and then links. So when I double click on this, it's going to open, and some of the linked objects have been updated. Okay, you can find them. If it wants to relink, you can relink them. Now I want you to take all these parts and pieces that are around here and put them back together. Everything has its own layer and is set up exactly as you need it. So this is the copy this layer exactly. If I turn that off, that's just a very blurry version of what I have. And all you need to do is just start placing. I'm going to unlock, and I can grab this photo. I don't have to change the size of it. but I'm going to move it in here. And I'm going to start making sure that like when I align stuff, it's snapping to margins. And again, I'll get it more in this Thursday. But all this is just creating what was there. And I'm just moving it around and knowing like, where are my layers? How is everything done? Do I have all my parts and pieces? How do I move around? Start moving around the board. I purposely put things super far away. And you're just going to kind of rebuild it to what I have. And I hope the other thing you do is read it. David Carson, father of grunge design, world-renowned designer, super cool, kind of like a cool, very cool guy. I like him. But he's all about design that's anti-design. And so you read about it and you can learn about somebody. That's what this is. And then you're going to export it and follow the instructions. And that's what this is about. And then you're going to show me that you were able to put it back together by exporting the project. Read through everything. It says exactly what to do, how to do it. If you do have questions, just ask. But generally my first one is like, did you read the instructions? You know, and scroll. There's another one. Scroll down. I usually get a lot of students like, how do I, you know, like we'll do this one. And then they'll read here, but they won't scroll all the way on this panel. And they'll be like, I didn't know how to turn it in. And I'm like, oh, did you scroll all the way to the bottom? And there's examples. And like, oh, I didn't realize to scroll. Just like a website. Scroll, scroll, scroll to find that info. Finally, last not least, the book. You have a book. Graphic design, the new basics. Like I said, look around for it. You're going to read chapters from the book. It's all about creativity. It's all about graphic design. I am not asking you to like read it and memorize it. It's something you kind of like page through and have things jump out at you and read it and be like, oh yeah. Then I want you to tell me, what did you get out of it? What jumped out at you? What like projects in that book? You're like, oh my God, there's a project on page 68 that like, I can't believe they did that with only this and this and this. That's what I want to hear. I do not want the ChatGPT 100-word version of what form storming in this book was about. I'll bust you right away because we don't talk like that. We don't talk like ChatGPT. Like, I don't want that. I don't want a summary of it. I want what you found interesting. And then that way it's way easy to write. You go through the book, you tell me about 2 things. 2 sentences. 100 words is 4 sentences. It's not that much. I end up having people writing pages because they're like super interested in it. And I had a great summer student who like every one of them linked to a personal thing that they were going through. And I got the whole soap opera from the entire summer. It was like really very fun. And they just typed up. They just wrote and wrote and wrote. But you don't have to. I will check 100 words. It's easy. I check 100 words. But I want what you get out of it. And it's an interesting book. I wouldn't include the book if it wasn't interesting. And it gives you, again, more perspective on design from everywhere. That's it. Look at that. 2:59. The lectures won't ever always be a full hour, just to let you know. I had to cover off on all that other stuff first, but usually they might even be more like half an hour, 45 minutes max, unless there's something brand new I got going on. Like I said, Thursday, I'm going to start showing you how to open Google Slides, what to do, bring in images, move them around, how to double check things. And I'll go through each of the projects one-on-one again, just so you have a great idea on how to do them. You can jump in. If you understand stuff, send it to me. I'll check it tomorrow, maybe later today. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Awesome. You know how to get a hold of me. If you have questions and you want to re-watch this, I will send you a little message when this is posted to Blackboard. So if you want to listen to me do this again and watch everything you can. And other than that, Awesome. I will see you on Thursday. We can knock things out. Like I said, I'm here until 4. I can stay till 4:30 too. If you guys got to use computers, please do. There's no excuse. Can't say I didn't allow you to do it. I'm here. So, all right, cool. Thank you.